the car. Seriously, who knew a pizza delivery guy would become the group's resident genius? Back when the group, a small bunch of survivors, was stuck in Atlanta, surrounded by a mountain of hungry walkers, they were toast. They needed a plan that was loud, fast, and totally nuts. That's where Rick stepped up. He noticed a shiny, bright red Dodge Challenger nearby. He broke the car window, setting off the very loud alarm. Then Glenn hopped in and used this as a massive distraction. It worked perfectly. All the walkers turned and walked away from the survivors' escape route and headed straight for the incredibly noisy car. Glenn drove off with the alarm blaring, successfully pulling the entire crowd of the dead out of the city. I guess we can safely say that Glenn came in clutch, but he was way too excited and with adrenaline that he drove it all the way up the mountains where the others were staying. Yeah, that part wasn't too smart.
Holy crap, turn that damn thing off! I don't know how!
The Phalanx Perimeter. The group had just taken the prison, but the yard was still full of walkers. They could have wasted the little ammo they had, or they could try something smart for once. That's where the Phalanx came in. This was all about using your head. They found some old riot shields and made a few spears, then lined up tight behind the safety of the fence. Instead of risking a bite or firing a shot, they carefully poked the walkers through the chain links, one after another. It was a rough job, but it was simple, and it worked perfectly. It was a clever way to clear the yard while keeping everyone safe and saving their bullets. In a world full of bad choices, this one was a genuinely smart move, Michonne's pet. One of the smartest moves in The Walking Dead has to be Michonne's clever use of pet walkers in Season 3. After losing her boyfriend Mike and his pal Terry to bites, she saw an opportunity. Michonne chopped off their jaws and arms so they couldn't bite or grab, then chained them up like pack animals. This turned them into perfect camouflage. Their zombie smell hid her human scent, letting her slip right through huge crowds of walkers without a fight. For months, she roamed safely, even saving Andrea from a herd. It was a tough, heartbreaking choice, but it kept her alive in a world gone mad. Emergency cash. Rick made one of his smartest decisions right before the group entered Terminus in Season 4. Terminus was advertised everywhere as a peaceful place, with signs telling weary travelers that they would be safe. But Rick, the leader, had seen too much bad stuff to simply believe a sign. He did not trust the promises of safety, not one bit. Because of his doubt, he took the time to hide a bag of their best guns and powerful weapons outside the gates. He buried the collection of weapons near the fence just in case their friendly welcome was a trick. And as it turns out, the place was a huge trap. When Rick and his friends were captured, that hidden bag of weapons ended up being the only reason they were able to fight their way out and escape. That smart, cautious move saved all their lives. No shoot. After the prison fell, Daryl and Beth were on their own. With ammo scarce and danger everywhere, they made their smartest rule yet. Be quiet. They realized a gunshot was the worst thing you could do. That loud noise was a dinner bell for every walker in the woods. It turned one problem into 100, so they changed how they fought. The crossbow was perfect. A knife worked fine. In a pinch, they'd even use a golf club. The goal was simple: deal with the threat without making a sound. Their smartest move was sometimes no fight at all. Remember that scene with the huge herd at night? They simply hid in a car trunk, completely silent, and let the whole crowd pass by. That's how you live another day. Firework diversion? One of the smartest moves in The Walking Dead is Carol's firework diversion in Season 5. When her friends got trapped in Terminus by those nasty cannibals, she spotted a big gas tank nearby and tied a firework to it like a homemade bomb. Lighting it up, she blew a huge hole in the gates, letting smoke and noise cover her sneaky entry. That explosion drew a ton of walkers right to the spot, turning them into a surprise army that attacked from outside. It gave her group the perfect chance to fight back and escape. Pure genius in a tight spot. The church ambush. Rick and the crew knew the cannibals, Gareth's nasty bunch, were coming for them. So Rick put on a big show, making everyone think they were packing up and hitting the road to get away from the church. But nope, they didn't actually leave. They snuck right back and set a perfect trap inside the building. When Gareth and his hunters crept into the church, expecting an empty building or an easy fight, they got slammed. Rick turned the dark church into a total kill box with no hiding spots. The Terminus folks were wiped out quickly and brutally. It was less of a fight and more of a total shock for the bad guys. Rick basically said, "You messed with the wrong people," and he proved it in the smartest, most unforgiving way possible. Flare gun lure. When a massive herd was about to break into Alexandria, Daryl knew they couldn't fight hundreds of walkers head-on. He needed to think like a general, not just a fighter. The smart move was realizing the lake beside their town wasn't just for water, it could be a weapon. So Daryl drove a gas truck off to the lake and emptied some of the gas into it. Then, using an RPG, he fired into the lake, igniting a huge wall of fire on the water's surface. The bright light and heat acted like a magnet, drawing the entire herd right into the lake. He used one small spark to solve their biggest problem, the clothesline maneuver. One of the smartest moves in The Walking Dead is the clothesline maneuver by Rick and Michonne in Season 7. Facing a massive herd of walkers blocking the road, they spotted a strong steel cable stretched between two cars as part of a trap. Instead of fighting one by one, they hooked the cable up between their own vehicles and drove full speed ahead, side by side. The tight wire sliced right through the walkers, taking out hundreds in one quick run like a giant blade. It cleared the path fast and saved ammo and energy for bigger threats ahead. What a clever way to turn a danger into a weapon. Total brain power in action. Tainted meat. Negan totally showed his smart side when he came up with a tainted meat plan. Forget regular fighting. This was a mind game. He got his saviors to cover their weapons. Knives, arrows, even baseball bats with gross walker guts and blood. The point was to make a little scratch a death sentence. If you just grazed a savior's weapon, you'd get infected and turn into a zombie later. This genius move was about fear. It made Rick's group super scared to even get close enough to fight. Negan basically turned the whole battlefield, and even a tiny cut, into a terrifying psychological trap. Reality check. One of the smartest moves in The Walking Dead is Shane's reality check in Season 2. See, the group was staying at Herschel's farm, where he kept his turned family and friends locked in the barn, hoping for a cure. Shane saw this as a huge risk. Those walkers could break out and kill everyone, especially with winter coming and supplies low.
They're not people! They're dead! Ain't gotta feel nothing for them, because all they do, they kill!
So he forced the issue by busting open the barn doors, letting the walkers spill out. The survivors had no choice but to shoot them all, including Herschel's loved ones. It was harsh, but it snapped the group out of treating zombies like sick people and made them face the brutal truth to stay alive: the expansion. Another smartest moves in The Walking Dead came when Alexandria stopped thinking small. Instead of just surviving day to day, they looked ahead. They used old-world solar panels to get steady power and reused pre-apocalypse materials to strengthen and expand their walls. That choice changed everything. Power meant light, security, and some sense of normal life. Stronger walls meant fewer surprises and more control. They went beyond just hiding from walkers to building something meant to last. By doing this early, Alexandria moved from being a soft, protected neighborhood to a real community with structure and planning. It showed that survival was about preparing for the long run and turning what was left of the old world into an advantage: tainted pigs. Richard from the Kingdom pulled off one of the sneakiest moves ever: the tainted pigs. He knew the Kingdom had to give their best pigs to the Saviors as payment, but he had a way to make that trade backfire. Before sending them off, Richard secretly fed those pigs nasty, rotten zombie meat. The Saviors had no clue.
They were well fed. I made sure of it.
We appreciate your hospitality.
The pigs were basically little time bombs of bad health. Once the Saviors ate the meat from those infected pigs, it would slowly, secretly start making them sick and weak over time. It was a brilliant, long-game move to mess up their health without ever firing a shot. A slow burn to weaken the enemy's crew. Blacksmithing. Years after the war, bullets were almost impossible to find. Relying on old guns just wasn't going to work forever. This made Earl Sutton's blacksmith shop at Hilltop the smartest idea around. While other places were running out of ammo, Hilltop was firing up the forge. Earl could take a piece of old metal and turn it into a sharp spear tip or a strong axe. This meant every person could have a good weapon, not just those with a gun. They weren't dependent on searching for bullets anymore. Because of this, Hilltop became the strongest community in the Alliance. When they needed to fight, they could make their own weapons and share them. It was a simple, solid plan that made sure they were always ready. The Radio Relay Network. For a long time, the communities were basically blind. If danger showed up, you only knew when it was already at your gates. Eugene changed that by setting up long-range radios between Alexandria, Hilltop, Oceanside, and the others. He gave them something they hadn't had in years: instant awareness. Suddenly, one community could spot trouble and warn everyone else in real time. That mattered a lot against the Whisperers, who relied on surprise and fear. The the radios took that edge away. Instead of reacting late, the communities could prepare, lock down, or move people out before things got worse. It was a powerful tool. This network turned separate settlements into one connected force, proving that information could be just as important as weapons in staying alive. 3 questions. In Season 4, prioritizing a peaceful life at the prison, Rick Grimes devised a simple yet brutal interview process to vet new survivors. This system, known as Rick's 3 questions, was designed to screen for broken or predatory individuals before they could enter the group. The questions are: how many walkers have you killed? How many people have you killed? Why?
How many walkers have you killed? How many people have you killed? Why?
Rick first used this screening on a lone woman named Clara in the episode 30 Days Without an Accident. He promised to take her in if her answers were satisfactory. The main purpose of this method was to ensure new candidates were productive and trustworthy members, and not psychologically damaged or a danger to the community. Gray Man. When the group got to Alexandria, that safe little town full of clueless folks, Carol played the sweet, harmless lady. Think cardigans, fresh-baked cookies, and all that homemaker stuff. She acted like a worried mom who couldn't hurt a fly, so the leaders brushed her off as just another housewife. But under that cover, she snuck around, picked up juicy info on everyone, and even swiped guns from the armory without a soul suspecting. It kept her group one step ahead when things got dicey. What a sneaky genius play. She turned being overlooked into her superpower, the Hush Protocol. The Hush Protocol was their answer to an enemy you couldn't outshout. The Whisperers used walkers and lived with them. A single spoken word in those quiet woods could mean getting caught, making old ways of talking a real danger. So they started talking with grunts and whispers. The group also used sign language. A simple gesture could mean enemy nearby, stay down, or move forward. This let them move through herds and plan attacks without making a sound. This smart shift turned their biggest weakness, noise, into a new strength. They could coordinate right under the noses of both the dead and the Whisperers hiding among them. In a fight where hearing was more important than sight, their silent teamwork became the ultimate weapon. Deep Cover Mission. In Season 10, Carol Pelletier sent Negan on a dangerous, secret mission to pretend to leave their group and join the Whisperers. Carol believed that Negan's selfish attitude and skills were the only way he could get close to the leader, Alpha, and kill her. Negan defected and managed to gain Alpha's full trust, even helping the Whisperers attack the Hilltop community. As the fight with the Whisperers became a full-blown war, Negan became part of Alpha's inner circle. To complete his task, Negan tricked Alpha by luring her to a small cabin. He lied, saying he had found her daughter Lydia. Once she was alone, Negan quickly cut her throat, killing her. He then cut off her head. Negan later gave Alpha's head to Carol, confirming they had been working together in secret to finish the Whisperer threat for good. The newspaper. Connie and Kelly started an underground newspaper to expose the dark secrets of the Commonwealth government, which was a huge protected city. They used the Commonwealth Tribune to reveal lies and corruption, including how the governor's son, Sebastian Milton, forced people into deadly scavenger hunts. They realized that in a high-population city like the Commonwealth, the truth was a more effective weapon than a physical fight. With the help of Max and Eugene, they printed an article that exposed the governor's family secrets. This caused a riot and led to Sebastian's death, which created a massive crisis. Their newspaper campaign showed that information could lead to a revolution and ultimately help them overthrow the corrupt government of the Commonwealth. If you enjoyed the video, YouTube thinks you'll love this one too.